Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick, and I put these exercises together for beginners. So if you're more advanced, you don't have to watch this, but these are bodyweight exercises. This is the first called high knees, essentially what it describes. And you can walk in place, bringing your knees up to about hand level, like I'm doing, or you can jog in place, especially if you want to have a little bit of explosive force to the legs and develop cardiovascular resistance, which is why Dr. Bellissimo, who put all these exercises together in her study, was trying to compare treadmill to bodyweight exercises. These are bodyweight air squats. They're called tempo because you go slow going down and then you speed it up going up. So you can also extend to the point of jumping, which I'll show you in a second. These are for developing core, lower body strength, and explosive power if you do the jumping. You don't have to worry about height here. It's just a matter of getting off and having some explosion with the joints of the ankles, toes, and knees. These are scissor jacks, which are a variation to jumping jacks. If you have issues with coordination, you might want to do these. You might want to just do jumping jacks. These just give you a little bit more cardiovascular fitness. Again, Bellissimo decided to compare treadmill running to these basic exercises, which is a great variation, but it also produced more enjoyment, more satisfaction, more lactic acid than treadmill running. So if you hate treadmill running, do these things. These are lunges. I like stepping back instead of stepping forward. I think you can control the knee better. You don't want the knee past the toes, especially if you have knee pain or patellofemoral syndrome. So I can also give you the jumping. Now, when I switched over here, I started going with same side movements of the arms, and you're really supposed to be opposite side, so I apologize about that. And these are burpees, which everybody hates. You don't have to do the push-up portion, you just have to get to the ground. Hopefully you have good wrists, and it gives you some coordinated compound movements. For those of you who have wrist issues, there could be a problem, so I don't want you doing this. It develops proprioception in the ankles, knees, hips, core work, and also work on the shoulders. This is the variation if you don't like going to the ground. It's a little bit more forgiving with your wrists. You won't develop as much of a cardiovascular push, though. And again, this is very easy to begin with.
The exercises that I showed you to be done in the gym or that I did do not have to be in a gym. Obviously, you don't need a gym to do all those things because they're body weight. I showed you these things because if you're watching, then this is probably for you, a beginner. And a lot of patients that I'm asking to get some form of exercise weekly, or at least weekly volume of minutes of exercise, they haven't done anything for decades. So it's important to begin something, but it's also important not to be frustrated because it sucks for you. And treadmill running is really boring. At least I think it is. The only reason I can do it is because sometimes I need to train inside because it's too cold or too hot outside. And I still have to keep up at least a 5K every month or every 2 weeks. So for me, that's my goal, to keep me at least in shape for taking on high altitude long hikes. But it's also my goal, as I'm hitting my mid 60s soon, to be able to do any kind of endeavor, whether it's rock climbing, playing a team sport, pickleball, badminton, basketball, football, or exercise and or roll around on the mats with regards to contact sports. Anything, just as a testimonial that you are set for trying anything, not necessarily excelling on it, but trying anything, no matter what age. Now, relative, I wouldn't take on somebody that's in jiu-jitsu 20 years of age because they'll probably break my arm. However, I think it's kind of cool that you can run around with grandkids or maybe great grandkids one of these decades. So to me, that's an example of longevity, is when you can get off the floor, when you can hang from a rock, when you can run, sprint, go upstairs, go up incline, decline, work on balance, practice Tai Chi, do yoga class. All these things are important, and to me, they're very valuable. If I can't do that, or if I can't carry my own luggage, or if I can't put my luggage in the overhead compartment or play with my grandkid, what good is a lot of a retirement fund if you can't do all that stuff? Well, I guess the good is that you can pay for your medical expenses with your big retirement with the exercises I showed you. The data from Bellissimo's study out of New Mexico, Albuquerque, showed that with a small study, you can have just as good of amount of lactic acid production, perceptual exertion, and relative perceived exertion is very important when you're exercising. So is enjoyment. and cardiovascular fitness. You can get the same amount with body weight exercises as treadmill running. So for those of you who don't like treadmill running or even running outside, you can do these things. I wouldn't just stop at these things because they're very introductory. I'd build on from those, but they're at least someplace to start. And you can do all these exercises back to back. And the only reason I showed you these is because those are the ones that Bellissimo used in her study with, I think it was 71 people. Now, again, small study, but you can add on to that. The bottom line is that you can do things in the house that are equivalent to treadmill running, if you don't like treadmill running. If you do like treadmill running, then have at it. 2 to 3 times a week, 20 minutes at a time, I think is fair. No incline, you don't have to do incline. If you just want to walk, that's fine too, but you need to put some resistance into that. And that's where you might add incline or a weight vest. If you can't afford a weight vest, get a backpack and put 2 gallons of water in there. That'll give you 16 pounds. And that's pretty decent if you walk for an hour. And that's the other problem. If you just do walking or treadmill running, you have to do it for so long and eventually it gets boring. When you do all these body weight exercises, and not just limited to this, but you can advance into other body weight exercises and still get a good cardiovascular workout, practice plyometrics, which is sense of balance. You can practice some explosive skills. So all these things are great versus just treadmill running. So hopefully it gives you a couple of ideas. If you're entry level, and I wanted you to watch this video, try these out in your basement. Be careful. If you notice any problems with pain, shoulder pain, knee injury, and knee pain, then hold and then communicate with me and I'll give you some guidance. Otherwise, keep on moving. It's always going to be important to have at least a certain amount of exercise volume in minutes per week, and then you keep on notching that up every month. And before you know it, you'll be able to do weights in the gym or machines in the gym, and maybe even a 5K. Join me or one of my hikes if you want to. So hopefully this gives you a couple of ideas. If you have any favorite exercises that you like, put them down out in the comments section down below. Otherwise, subscribe to me and hopefully you'll get healthier in time. Thanks for watching.